It's me, 3+Kei, favorite social worker. I am here to encourage you to pursue smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. So I am here today. Today has been a good day. What I was just doing before I hit record or it's not record, go live. When I hit that button, I was watching a video by of Gary V, who's an entrepreneur, and Cody Sanchez, who is also an entrepreneur. Hey, Scott. And just learning about them. And it seems like the more I kind of look into the possibilities of life, the more I come across people in the form of content that are saying, hey, man, it's Ben. You're about to have your own song here pretty soon, the two of you. But I've been learning more and more about entrepreneurship, and I think a lie that gets told to the American people is that you're going to have this job, and you'll have this boss, and you will work, and then you're gonna do that for 67 years. Is it 67? You're gonna work for like 60 years or 50 years or whatever. And then you retire, except the thing is, in the United States, what they're giving you for retirement is about $2,000, and that's not enough in our economy to sustain yourself. So what I'm looking toward is how to create wealth, however slowly. So that's what I was doing right before I kind of came on here. But today was a good day. I hung out with my friend Afton that comes on here sometimes, and we went to go painting, and I'll show you what I made today. This is what I made today at a painting class. And not only that, we went for a walk afterward and ended up stopping by a bar, of all places, to go use the bathroom because we were walking outside. Thanks, Scott. And in the bathroom, as women do, I ended up chatting with a lady while I was washing my hands because she had a beautiful hat on. And one thing about me is I have been looking for the perfect hat, and she had the type of hat that I would like. And she said there's a place about an hour from here where you can make your own hat. So she had made her own hat. And so that was nice because now I'm going to go to that place. Today, I went to a place and made a painting of a cow. And then soon enough, I'm going to go drive an hour to make my own hat, which is pretty cool. And another thing that I want to do, there's a Jamaican food truck that's about an hour and a half from here. So I'm going to take a little field trip, maybe take a weekend. It's out, this means nothing to you guys except for Ben, but in the Flathead area is where this food truck is. And so I'm going to go out there and spend a weekend, and there's a really pretty lake. Is it, Ben, is it just Flathead Lake? I'm going to see if I can get maybe a place for the weekend out that way. And so anyway, I'm so grateful. I was editing my videos from last night, guys, and I was talking at some point about friendship and how I don't have, oh yeah, Flathead Lake. Thanks, Ben. I don't really have friends that don't want to drink alcohol as like the main thing we're doing when we hang out. Like, I think it's fine if we're hanging out at your house and you bust out a couple of beers or whatever. I don't really care about that. But like, I'm not really, I wouldn't really go to a bar to like hang out, and drinking is the focus. I don't even like eating at bars, really. It's just, there's no judgment. It's just not what I would like to be doing with my time as like the centerpiece of our time together. And so I've just kind of accepted that this is how my friends kind of are. And because I'm not into it, I guess I'll catch you on the flip side, or when something bad happens, we'll get together, or whatever the case may be. But my friend Afton is into doing things that don't incorporate alcohol. And I really just love that. Or smoking pot. Where we live is like a big pot and alcohol culture. Like, they'll have children's events downtown and serve alcohol at the children's events. And then 420 is like the pot smokers' holiday. There's festivals. There's festivals if you want to be around other people that are smoking pot. I did work a 420 once, and the Girl Scouts were there. That's how big. Yeah, it's like, it's a really big culture here, just substances in general. And so for that, it's a little, I've been hard pressed to find friends that want to like do activities. And I will say, let me turn my phone. Another thing is like outdoor activities are pretty big here. So I would do that, but I don't really know anybody that wants to like do anything, unfortunately. Hey, Kat. Hey, bestie. Hey, first fan. Good to see ya. And so anyway, today with the painting of the cow, and then we're going to go make our hats. I'm just very grateful for that. And then I was going through, it's March 1st. Let me see if I can show it without showing my address here. This is the In Touch devotional. Hold on, I'm trying to show you so my address doesn't pop up here, but it's difficult for some reason. Here we go. Whoop, there we go. So this is the In Touch devotional. And if you just Google In Touch Ministries, you can sign up for these and they'll send you one every single month. And there's devotionals in them for every day of the month. Also, they have an app that I used to use, but now I just look at the paper copy, and I have 2 of these sent to me every month. And I give one of them to a fellow believer. So I was looking at the devotional today, but before I got to it, I noticed that there was a subject on friendship. Let's see if I can get to it. Oh my gosh, it's almost as if I was looking at a different one. I don't know why. That's kind of weird. It's like I was, oh, because this is February's. That's why. But the devotional today, or it wasn't the devotional today, but the front cover of it was talking about Jesus being our friends. our friend. And the title is Approach the Lord as the Great Friend That He Is. And so it gives these characteristics of like how Jesus is a great friend to us. And I'm going to read it in a second. But while I was reading how Jesus is the best friend to us, he's our true bestie, I was kind of comparing it to the type of friendships that I have now. And so it should be noted, this might be offensive, but I have many people who would call me their friend, but I have a very short list of people who I would say that they're my friend, because who's around when trouble arises? Like, right? This whole little depression that I was live streaming all this time, who was there for me during that time that like checked up on me or anything like that? And so what? Afton and Ben. Look at that. Look at that. Afton and Ben. At the end of the day, right? But if you thought about how many friends you actually have, you know. And so anyway, I'm going to read the list. Jesus is my homie. Like, for show. I will be here until we meet our Lord. Amen. So I'm going to read these characteristics of who Christ is, and just think about maybe even your human best friend and how they match up to this. So in his sermon, Our Very Best Friend, Dr. Stanley describes Jesus as one who accepts us as we are, but doesn't leave us that way, is never too busy for us, talks to us through his written word, listens when we pray, forgives us repeatedly, understands our weaknesses, walks with us through trials, which is what I was just talking about, is available to meet our every need. That's not even fair to put on another human, that you have to be there for every single need I need, but Jesus does that. Reveals his ways and thoughts. Even our closest friends keep some of their thoughts to themselves, right? Everybody has their own deep, dark secrets. Does your best friend share what theirs are? Like, honestly, you know what I mean? The nitty gritty. Encourages us throughout life, is patient through our personal frailties, right? You bust out crying, falling on the floor. Who's there? Who's there to help? Not even pick you up. Who's there to hug you in that moment while you're there on the floor? Is patient with our personal frailties, guides our spiritual growth. How many of us even have friends that are invested in our spiritual growth? You know what I mean? Like, when was the last time your best friend was like, hey, you pray today? You pray this morning? Or you wanna pray together? When was the last time your best friend said that? Always tells the truth. Now we know. Humans lie. Humans lie. Always tells the truth. Will never deceive us. Will never misunderstand us. Will never disappoint us. Will never reject us. Always keeps his promises. Desires the best for us. Loves us unconditionally. I just read there's this site called Quora. So if you have like Facebook or Instagram, that's for like scrolling mindlessly, as they call it, doom scrolling. Quora is like social media for people that want to think. So like a question will be posed and then people give intelligent responses to it. And so there was a question like, what is one of life's greatest lessons? And the responder was saying that unconditional love doesn't exist. When you love someone and they love you, there's an expectation that that love and respect will be returned at an equal level, if not greater. Christ accepts us as we are and wants to work with us to be better people. He gave his life for us, has prepared a place in heaven for us, and will spend eternity with us. And so these are the things that make Christ the ultimate friend, you know. Matthew 10:5, do not swear falsely. I think it's Matthew 10:34, but let's take a little peek. I remember you busting that out the other day, which I really appreciate. And he died for our sins, right? Your friends can't do that, nor would they. A brother lays down his life for his brother. How many of us have friends that would even be willing to do that? Like, why would they at the end of the day? You know what I mean? When you think about it. Because they don't, it's fair. It's fair. Your friends can't love you like Christ. That's what makes them fallen humans. And that's what makes Christ, right? I'm still looking. I think it was 5:34 from the other day. Yep, it's 5:34, but I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. That's a good point about honesty. You need, let your yeses be yes and your no's be no's, and have that be consistently so people know where you stand. If your yeses are always yes and your no's are always no's consistently across the board, then somebody can't come up behind you and expect your yes to be a no. They don't, you're too wishy-washy. That's another good reason not to lie. If you're a liar, nobody can trust you. And then ultimately, I mean, that affects everything that you do. If you have no honor, we heard a church sermon about being an honorable man, being or an honorable woman, being an honorable person. And when I tell you, that has stuck with me. And so much I want to be an honorable woman. Like, I love the idea of, like, what I say is as good as gold. Like, you don't have to, good, bad, or ugly. Because sometimes I'm not as friendly as I am. Sometimes I'm a jerk. Sometimes I don't say things the right way in my honesty. Sometimes I don't speak in love. I'm truthful, but I'm not loving about the way that I say it. Usually when I'm irritated. You know, typically when somebody's making a lot of excuses for themselves, it's like, I mean, you're just choosing not to live up to your whatever you said you were going to do, right? In a way, that's being a friend, in my opinion. Going back to this, accepts us as we are, but doesn't leave us that way. Because your friend should want you to be a better version of yourself. right? Or at least that's what I want. I don't know. Being a human is kind of weird that way. I want people, if somebody is around me and they're like, I want to make $1 million, I'm going to tell them, so do it. This is America. Like, if somebody wants to make $1 million in America, that's what they can go ahead and do. And then here come the excuses about, I look like this, or I've done that, or whatever. And it's just like, that's where I think my patience runs thin. So then you don't want it. Just say you don't want it. Like, what was the point of saying you want $1 million? If you're not going to do it, or you want the job, or you want to lose weight, or whatever the case might be. Being a human is the hardest job. I know. I think it gets easier when we approach our humanity with honesty. I'll always go back to that. To like know yourself. But here's an interesting take too. We don't even know ourselves fully. Only Christ does. Because we have a subconscious that we act within. So like XYZ might have happened when we were 5 years old and we suppress that memory. Like, let's say an Asian kid with a blue hat like stepped on our toe when we were 5 years old, and we suppress that memory. But for some reason, it's not Asians and it's not people with blue hats. But every time we see an Asian with a blue hat, we just like become rude people, right? So we ourselves don't even know, like, in totality, the reason why we do things. And then once you become an adult, a lot of us adults make excuses, and we don't want to like dig deep into our subconscious. They call it shadow work. We don't want to look into like how we formed as children into adolescence, into adults that have the problems that we have, right? Scott says, do not trust yourself is the worst quote ever, because that's bad for mental health. I think it's twofold. Like I was saying, like, there's trust yourself and your capabilities. Like, we're capable of far more than what we think we are. I think it's the Marines. No. It's the Navy SEALs. They have this saying that's like, your mind will give up before your body will. Right? Like, Navy SEALs are all up in the water, and like they have to stay swimming for like an hour or more, or whatever that thing is that they have to do. And so what they say, and they tell you, prep you ahead of time, that your mind is going to give up and tell you that you can't do it, but your body still has juice in it and it still can. So in the way of like lying to ourselves, our minds will make like excuses for what we actually can do. We excuse ourselves all the time. And so in that way, we can't trust ourselves. But in the same way that the body keeps going, it's tricky. It's tricky. I think for me, I want to be the type of woman that is dependable, that encourages people toward the Lord. I think that's the biggest thing, because I certainly will disappoint you. I'm so ridiculously selfish. I am on my own time 100% of the time. You know what I mean? And so I will be disappointing. All of us are. All of us are. So my goal is to gear you toward the Lord. And that's not to say I don't have accountability. You know what I mean? I do serve other people. I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, when I want to leave, I'm leaving. You know, if I want to do something, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And hopefully you want to do it too, because that would make the road a lot easier. You know what I mean? Do you have a best friend? I don't know who's on here. I don't know if Scott's still on here, but do you have a best friend? What do you like the most about your best friend? I'm trying to think. I have a cousin who would be maybe the closest to a best friend that I would have. But he lives in Texas, so it's like I don't even really like see him like that. And then he has a business and kids, and like he's doing all the stuff and I'm doing my stuff. I think we just relate to one another very well. And I used to have what I would say like 3 best friends or something like that. But then people had kids and they kind of did that, which is fine. You should. If you're a mom, you should be momming for sure. Scott says we can automatically notice each other by saying each other's names. Yeah, like you guys can pick each other's voices out in a crowded room. I love that for you. I really do. I wonder, I'm thinking like, what would my ideal friend be like? And I think it's also what I was talking about yesterday was like having Christian friends that what we do together isn't necessarily like reading the Bible or like a Christian activity. Like I would like, and I was thinking about how better to word it. I would like Christian friends to do physically active, wholesome activities with. And I think that's like asking like a lot. I haven't found it. I haven't found it. Like this nice lady at our small group wanted to hang out and she's like, let's get coffee. And it's like, can we go for a walk instead? And maybe that, I think that, I don't know, is that like the selfish part of me? I don't want to have tea and I don't want to have coffee and just sit around getting fat. That's like not a thing I want to be doing at this stage in my life. I want to be like up, moving, boom, let's play sports. Let's be loud. I don't want to be like a proper lady with you. Does that sound like I want to be like raucous? You know, before I came to Christ, I was like in the streets and for the streets, right? And so what I'm trying to say is like after Christ, I want to be active. I want to be active. I want to be doing things, moving my body. Especially another thing you guys might not know about me. I used to be morbidly obese. So I used to be 100 pounds or over 100 pounds more than what I should weigh. And currently I'm just overweight. Praise God. I'm not morbidly obese anymore, but as soon as that weight came off of me, I started running 5Ks because it was like, oh, I can move my body. I started riding bikes. You know, one of my favorite things to do is play laser tag. And so I think there's a tension there with finding a human friend, in that I'm also of a certain age where like people don't want to do this kind of stuff. They don't want to like be running around. But I have a new body. Like I was morbidly obese and now I'm not. I want to like experience, you know. So anyway, or even I was talking to my friend today. She adopted four boys, just on the verbal side of things, verbal side of friendships. She adopted 4 boys. I have 2 girls I adopted. And we were just kind of talking today. Ben says, I want to do weekly swimming this summer. Just hard to make time with work. Ben, join the YMCA. Join the YMCA with me. Join the YMCA. Because they have a pool. Oh, swimming ends at 5. What about the weekends? Can you go on the weekends? If you can, this is me hiring you. You could teach me how to, I don't know how to swim. I don't know how, the stereotype is true. You know, there's a stereotype about Black people in swimming. Got me. I don't swim. I don't swim. Weekends are hit and miss. Oh, man. You should try it, though. You can get one free day pass. That's where I'm going to start going to the gym, because my friend said that she would like teach me how to do powerlifting. But before we even get to that, I need to do more strength training. So I've dedicated the month of March to A, learning the equipment, and B, getting some type of routine together towards strength training, you know. But anyway, I was talking to my friend today who has also adopted. And it's always comforting talking to people who've adopted before, because it's very traumatic. It is very traumatic for the parent, because it's not like, hey, here's a kid and now this kid is yours and now you're mom or dad, and then that's the end and it's happily ever after. It's like, no, due to the fact that this kid is even in the foster care system, they came to you with issues as a child, and then as they get older, you'll see how those issues pop up. But you have no clue how that's going to present itself when they're a kid. And so it's kind of like, only if you have adopted, you kind of understand what that's like. And so that was a good conversation I had today. That's something that would be rare that I would have in common with somebody, because most people birth their children. But not everybody wants to birth a child. And there's 500,000 kids in the United States that need parents. So it's like, if you just birth all your kids, I mean, fine. But like, what happens to the 500,000 kids that got birthed and then their parents didn't want them? What happens to those kids? Some of us that didn't birth kids, we take them on, you know? And so that's a talking point. Because it can be hard. And my kids are actually adults. And it is still hard because they didn't have the foundation to set them up for a productive adulthood. They didn't have a good foundation for that. And so they're struggling in ways that is actually very predictable. But I'll tell you this. One thing you have to look out for, and I'll tell Scott, if you're still on here, one thing you got to look out for is like dopamine boosts. So dopamine is the chemical that fires in your brain whenever you do something that's like very pleasurable. So if you win a video game, for instance, or even playing a video game, that's an influx of dopamine going in your brain. Whenever you eat junk food, that is dopamine. So like anything you're doing that gives you like pleasure, that's dopamine. And so how that translates and what's happening with our society right now is that we're so dopamine driven. Even scrolling, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they have a board of psychologists in their companies that dream up and implement ways for you to be addicted to their platforms by giving you dopamine hits. So this scrolling that we do, dopamine. What's the next thing that's happening? You got to watch out for that. I'm telling you now. I don't know why we're not talking to kids more about this, or I don't think kids can't really manage that themselves. I don't know why we as adults aren't managing the dopamine levels of our youth, because what that translates into is instant gratification. You become less and less capable of making a decision for the long term, and you only seek to satisfy the short term objective. So just to get the next thing. And that is a recipe for disaster in your adult years. Because to be successful, you need to have longevity and consistency. So even with this YouTube channel I have, it's taken me a year to get over 3,000 subscribers. So that's longevity. Consistency is that I post 4 times a day. And then the patience of some posts aren't going to do well. Some posts are going to do very well, figuring out what doesn't work and stopping that, figuring out the posts that do well and doubling down on that. It's consistency and diligence and learning my craft. All of these things are the antithesis to dopamine hits. There's no dopamine. Where I get my dopamine is like a video that does well, but my videos are not all of them do well, and I have to be okay with that. Does that make sense? Ben, you should go to the Y tomorrow. I would go, but oh, you're coming over here tomorrow. Don't go to the, well, I don't know. I'll go with you if you want to check it out. But I would end up doing strength training. I don't know why. I have a taste for a Kit Kat bar right now. Oh, I'll tell you what else I did today. There is an international market over on Kensington, for what it's worth, over by Baskin Robbins. And we just drove past it, and then after we painted, let's look at the painting one more time. Let's just, because we're going to wrap up. Let's look at the painting. I'm surprised I made this, because the process of making this is not what, it doesn't look like what it is until it's dry, basically. This is it's a type of cow. I forgot what it is. Ben, I don't know if you're thumbsing up to my cow or the YMCA. But I am going to go ahead and say it's because of the cow. Highlander. Yeah, it's basically a cow with bangs. It's like a cow that has a hairdo. I had never seen such a cow, but my friend was saying that we have some over by Turner Farms, and she went with her family one day, and all she wanted was to see the Highlander cows, but she has the 4 kids, so she was wrangling them the whole time. And then when they were leaving, they were talking about how cool the Highlander cows were. And she was like, that's all I came here for. Why didn't you guys tell me when you saw them? Life of a mom. All right. There are a bunch in Tura, too. Oh, I've only been to Tura. My friend's grandma had a ranch out in Tura. I gotta get going, but I just wanted to hop on here and talk about Jesus being the ultimate friend. But yeah, I'll talk to you later. I'm 3+Kei, your favorite social worker, here to encourage you to pursue the smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. And I will talk to you later.